60 people, I'm actually speaking to you. So I'm sort of have the mindset of you and I are taking a little journey right now. There may be a couple of you gathered around a computer somewhere, but mostly it's you and me, and I'm going to be teaching you for the next hour and some minutes how to use Constant Contact and some of the tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. All right, so let's get started. Once you've signed into your Constant Contact account, there's a couple of things that I think are worth doing before we even get started with how to create an email or deal with your lists or things like that. So when you sign into your Constant Contact account, the first area that I think is very important to look at is this area called Sign Up Tools. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And the Sign Up Tool area talks to you about a few different things. There's an area here that talks about best ways to use these tools. This is an area where you can go to create a Facebook sign-up form. A Facebook sign-up form, I can show you what that looks like. So a Facebook sign-up form is basically Facebook speak for this little join my list button here. And why that's important is that anywhere that you can have the chance to have people sign up for your list is probably a good thing. This is one of my fan pages. And if I click on join my list, hopefully I will be taken to a place where a person can enter their email address and they can put in their first name and their last name, and then they can join my email list. So that is a great little tool that everyone can use to create a place where a person can sign up for your email list. Another place, another piece is this creating a sign up form. I'll just briefly walk you through that. This is a little wizard that allows you to create a sign up form and then down below select the list that you'd like the people to sign up for. What that eventually leads to is a form that looks like this. Many of you have probably seen these. I'm recommending to people nowadays that you just have the only required field be an email address. You can ask for more information if you like, if it's important for you to get down the zip code so that you can do some segmented targeting of your emails, then so be it. But most people want to have the least amount of information possible that they have to fill in. And so I'd like to suggest that we make it easy for them. And the way this all plays out is on my website. Whoops. Those are my website statistics. On my website, you can see that I've got a nice little Constant Contact email sign-up list form. And basically, I've got two places where a person can sign up for a list here. But on different websites, I've got different sign-up forms for different lists that I'm running. All right, so that's the sign-up form. And I could run you through this little wizard. Basically, you just want to make it very straightforward, you know, just a simple title, a simple description, and then on the next field, you get a chance to figure out which lists you'd like to have the person sign up for. Well, we're about 10 minutes into the webinar. I'm just going to have a quick look and see how you all are doing. All right, and I see we've had, okay, and also a question. Where's our coffee? Very nice, Sid. Sid, you know exactly where your coffee is. Okay, so the questions that come in, unfortunately, I don't have an assistant with me today, so I'm not going to be able to keep super close attention to the questions, but what I do think I'll do is go through them and answer them, and I will report back to you in an email back to everyone who has registered for the webinar. So I hope that will suffice. I wish there was a way for me to answer the questions along the way. Maybe one thing that I can do is towards the end of the webinar go through and answer some of these questions. So one question I see here that I can answer right away, it says nice promo offer for viewers, and how much is the email marketing? So the email marketing offer, there's pricing for Constant Contact. You can go onto their website and see what the pricing is. Usually it's about $15 for the first 500 contacts, and then it goes up from there. So you can have a look at, if you just plug in the URL that I showed before, and go ahead and put / pricing at the end of that, you'll see what the pricing is for Constant Contact. And there's no special pricing today for signing up, but the Web Match email template offer is available. So I recommend signing up for that. It's a $100 offer. All right, sorry for flipping back and forth so much, but I'm doing my best. It's my first webinar. All right, so I was showing you a little bit about the sign-up form. We talked. These are the lists that a person would choose, and then I click on Continue, and these are the different required fields that a person would choose. And then after that, you can choose the logo that you want to put in there to personalize it, and then you could also choose different font colors and background colors. Right now, I'm not going to pick either of those, but it's a pretty simple thing to upload your logo there and pick various colors. And then you would have a very nice little sign-up form. And you could use the code for that for your website, for your blog. You can also just use a text version of it to send to people and say, hey, sign up for my email newsletter. I recommend that people have it just about everywhere you can imagine. It can go on the bottom of your email tagline. It can go, just pretty much everywhere. Okay, some other tools that are worth knowing about. There's a second one here called Text to Sign Up. And what that means is that a person can come in and they can text your cell phone. Actually, they're not texting your cell phone, they're texting Constant Contact's servers, and then they receive back a reply asking for the contact's email address. Then the contact replies with an email address, and it's saved to your chosen contact list. And so that's just a really brilliant, simple thing for anyone to set up. And I'll go ahead and turn it on for this list. And then I'm going to come back in here to sign up tool. So that's just something really good to know about. It takes just a few minutes to set up. And then what I recommend is that people have a sign at their event, and they can use that to sign people up for their lists. In fact, I'll show you what that looks like. We'll have a little show and tell. This might be getting a little too fancy. We'll see. But I like the show and tell aspect of this, since we do have video. All right, let's see. Share my webcam. Okay. So here is what, backwards probably, that might look like if you were going to create it in the end. And I often put these, jeez, okay. I often put these signs at the entranceway to my presentations. Even if I'm not the main presenter, I might still have a table, and that's a great thing to have out with any other collateral you have, and perhaps you'll have a few people sign up for your newsletter that way. So some more of the sign-up tools are a QR code sign-up, and many of you are probably familiar with the QR code. That's the quick response code. You're probably seeing them everywhere. Right now, if you scan this QR code, you would end up in my demo account list. I don't think that makes much sense, but that just shows you how simple it is to set up a QR code for the ability to scan to join your email list. So that's exactly how that works. A person would come over, they would scan the QR code, and then they would get a response that would ask them to put in their email address, and boom, they are on your list. So, and one other place that I'll talk about that I think is important to set up, and that is your welcome email. So if a person was going to sign up for your newsletter, this is the area that you want to come in and do some customization. It's an area where you can say, thank you for joining my list. There's a place for you to put in a um, an image right here. So what this is that if I sign up for your email list, right away an email will come back to me saying, hey, thank you so much for signing up. Here's how often my email newsletter is going to come to you. And here's a little bit of the kind of information that I might share. And if you want further information about me, here's how to contact me. Maybe there's an offer that you're giving right off the bat. You're doing some kind of discount on your consultation services, or you have a 2-for-1 running right now, whatever it is. And perhaps the people are all signing up via an event that you're all at together. So these are various kinds of things that you can customize. Okay. Oh, thank you, Sid. Sid gave me some feedback that it was not backwards. All right. So next up, I want to sort of dive into, let's see, anything more I want to say about the welcome email? Well, the welcome email, okay, so why do I think it's so important? It is the first email that you are going to be sending to your clients. So whoever signs up for this, that's the first thing that they're going to hear back from you. So a lot of people leave this whole thing blank. They just leave the default text in there and turn it on and just hope for the best. And I highly recommend not doing that because, again, this is the first touch that a person is having when they come in and they sign up for your newsletter. So do take a little time, put in a good image, and you can also customize the background and make it look fantastic. You can pick the colors that match your website. You can customize this just like you would any template. So do take, it's worth taking 10, 20, half an hour to really dial this in and get it right, and then test it. Make sure that when you send it out, it's really looking the way you want it to. All right, I've got Jeremy saying, I love QR codes. Well, all right, Jeremy, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here to, okay, and so by the way, for those of you who are just arriving, we've had about 10 people join just in the last couple of minutes. Welcome to the webinar today. I've spent the first 10 minutes or so going into an area called Sign Up Tools. And I'll just backtrack for 2 seconds so that you can see where we went. And this is the area of Sign Up Tools. These top 3 were the ones that I mostly took a look at, and then also the welcome email letter. All right, so, and we're going to be talking about getting started with email marketing. And I'm your host, Albert Kaufman, and I'll be coming back in and out of sharing my countenance with you. But for now, I'm just mostly going to be taking us for a tour of how to get started with Constant Contact. All right, so here we are in the home area. The first thing that many people are going to need to do is come into the contacts area. Now, contacts can be all sorts of different people. You could have your friends, you can have your family, you can have people who have signed up for your newsletter via trade show with your permission. The whole idea, though, is that you've got the permission of people who are going to be on your list. And so you really want to think hard and clearly when you're getting started with email marketing about who is going to be on what list. So once you've kind of put some thought into that and you've gone through your address book and you figured, okay, well, my family, they want to hear from me, so I'm going to add them. You can come into this area and you can create a new list for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new list, and I'm going to call that family. I'm going to add the list. And so now for anything that you do, this list will show up as a possible place for someone to join into. So there's various forms that we talked about a few minutes ago. The list family will show up, as well as these 2 other lists that I've created. So Once you've got your list created, the next thing you might do is to add contacts to it. So I'm going to go up here to add contacts. Now, you can add an individual contact. That's often what I do when I make a connection with somebody and I got their business card and they say, please add me to your list. I might go in and add a contact. So that's very simple to do. We'll just call this person Joe contact. And I'll add their email address, joe@example.com. And I do have permission to send, so I'll make sure that's checked. And here I'll click, and that will allow me to pick the email list that I want to add him to. Turns out Joe's my father. Who knew? So there I have Joe. He's on my email list family. And let's say I'm also, my dad's left-handed, so I'm going to add him to, I'm going to create a tag called left-handed. And if you want to add a note to this contact, this is the place to really, dial in any information that you want for future reference. So you might want to add his phone number or other information. So right now I'm going to click on save and we're going to add Joe. And now it's giving me the opportunity to add a new email if I wanted to do this one at a time. But for most of us, we'll probably be adding lists of people. So under the Add Contacts area, I can add contacts in various ways. I can add names and emails, and then I can also add from a file. I can also add from Google if I want to, or other apps. So let's say I wanted to add from a file. The way that works is I've just clicked on Add from a file. I click on Choose File, and then I go out and I look in, for my file. So here's a list of contacts. I would click on Open the Contacts, and then I would click on Continue. And since these are actual email addresses, I'm not going to go through and actually add them all. But as you can see here, perhaps there's only one line and it's all email addresses. So I'm going to click email address. It shows some of the email addresses. And then if I click on Continue, it would add all of those email addresses. Well, actually, if I click on Continue, then it asks me, do I have permission to email these people? I do. Which email list do I want to put these people in? Family. And then if I click apply, it shows that I'm adding these to the list family. And since this is a group of people who I was sending email to on Cyber Monday, I would maybe tag it with the name Cyber Monday. If I click on import, all of these people will be imported. I'm not going to bother with that because it's not really appropriate in this moment. So I'm going to cancel. But that is the process for adding a list of people into Constant Contact. Now, once you've got that list in there, then you can also continue to sort of massage the list, add tags to different people, create sublists. The list area is just getting stronger and stronger with time. So it's an area that I highly recommend people spend some time in, get comfortable with, and learn how to use, because you can create the most beautiful email in the world. But if your list, let's say it only has one person on it, unless that person is buying a Learjet from you, you need to work on the list aspect of things. So actually, that's mostly what we've talked about so far, is the list building. I'm just going to have a quick little scan. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes, you can sort the tagged areas, but as I said earlier, I'm going to try to answer the questions in a written format. That should be valuable to everybody. So I hope that my email back to you about today's webinar will get a lot of open rates, because I hope that you'll enjoy the answers to the questions that I give. Also, I haven't mentioned it before, but I am recording the webinar today, so I will do my best to get a link up of the webinar for those who would like to view it. So, all right, I'm going to continue on, and we've talked a little bit about the contacts area. Now let's actually go let me just think for 2 seconds if there's anything more I want to say about contacts. Once you have contacts in here and you've sent emails out to people, you'll then see what their experience has been. So for instance, if I open up a contact, you'll see over here on the right-hand side that this contact has been sent an email, and then the second email was not delivered to that contact. So you can see what their behavior has been, whether or not they've opened your email, and that type of thing. Unfortunately, from here, you can't see whether they've forwarded the email or any other engagement that they've had, but you can see that they've received the email. So you can get an idea when you come in and you look at a contact, how much engagement they have. If you've sent them 10 emails and they've never opened any of them, then you can get an idea that they're either not interested or need to be recontacted. So that is pretty much the area for contacts. I think I'll move on into the email section. So I could probably spend the whole time with you just in this area alone. There's often a lot of questions about, how to create an email, when to send an email, and formatting emails and that type of thing. But I'm going to take you on a little journey where we'll create an email, we'll pick out a template, and I'll also work a little bit with some of the more advanced areas of Constant Contact, so that you can, either for many of you, some of these things will be simple, and for some of you they will be over your head, but somewhere in the middle, at least people will know what some of the possibilities are. So when I look at this view, I can see what has already happened. I'm going to come back to this area in a minute, but you can see what your open rate is, and then you have some other possibilities of things you can do. One thing that many people will probably be doing is creating a template and then using the copy feature to copy that template over to start a new email. So that is a little bit about how that works. But to get to that point, we have to create an email. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. And then the first thing that happens is that, well, first of all, you should notice whenever you see one of these underlined blue areas, it says check out this tutorial about picking a good template. Now, Constant Contact is fantastic at training, whether it's training you in person or training you on the web. There's just really nothing like having all of these tutorials at your fingertips. So I do encourage you, when you do run into a tutorial, to check it out. They're usually pretty helpful. So once you've come into this area, you can pick a template in a lot of different ways. You can just look at the ones that show up in front of you as the new featured ones, or you can go into looking at ones by different layouts. So for instance, this layout is just called horizontal blocks, and it's a one column template. As you can see here, there are a variety of different templates that you can choose. So a couple of the ones that I am a big fan of, if I go into the type area, one of my favorites is cards. A lot of times we have something that we want to get out there and we only have 15 minutes to send it. It's a special that's happening, it's a change of venue for an event, whatever it is, you just have a few minutes to get the word out about something important. I'll often pick a card. If I go in and I look at this card, for instance, you can see some of the aspects of it. It's very short. It's only got 2 block areas to work with, and it'd just be very simple to go in and customize that. In fact, one strategy might be to make a card that's got all of your custom formatting, and it's got all your branding, and then to be able to use that and draw on it as kind of a backup for your newsletter. So again, in types, another type that I think is very important to keep track of is mobile friendly. Now, everyone is realizing more and more that people are looking at your newsletters on their phones. It's just a fact of life. As much as we'd like to think, or I'd like to think, that you're looking at my brilliant writing on, at least a 15-inch screen, if not a 30-inch screen. That's just not the case. These days, somewhere around 50% of people are looking at their email and everything else on their phones. So Constant Contact is, going into the fray with a number of different offerings. Right now, I believe there are, at least there's quite a bit of choices here in the mobile area, and I'm sure that's just going to continue to roll out to higher and higher numbers. So if I pick a mobile-friendly template, let's go ahead and do that. I will pick this one. Well, let's pick this one. It's got a little bit more color to it. So again, I'll go in and preview it just to have a quick look and see what I'm being offered. So here you can see I've got an area to put some content, an image, a heading, a subheading, and sort of a filling out of the bottom. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pick that template. Actually, before I do, just want to show you there are hundreds of templates to choose from. So there isn't one of these, but you can come in and find some really, really beautiful creative work here. So for instance, here's one called Dance, and I'll just show that to you. If you haven't had a chance to look at some of the templates, it makes some sense to go in and sort of surf around and see what some of the different ones are and what their values are. One of my clients is a local theater, and they use something that looks like this, which has a black background and white text. And so you can see that there's quite a lot of different choices. And I'm sure if you've been receiving email newsletters for a while, you've probably seen things that look something similar to this. This is one of the newer ones, and it's real beautiful. It's got a real nice big crisp picture at the top. Lots of nice imagery in the middle, and just beautiful colors all throughout. In fact, I think I would like to use this one. Yeah, why not? Let's switch gears. We'll choose this. This is also a one-column template, so it probably work really great on mobile. So now I've chosen a template. The first thing that I'll do is I'll come into this little area, and I'll just say, class demo. Oh, let's call it webinar. Webinar demo 127 and 14. I hit return, and that saves it. This is for my information only, and that will help me as I sort through the different templates that I'm working with. So next up, let's just look around a little bit. These colors and fonts over here on the left-hand side affect the look and feel of this area. So for instance, if I change the anything I change here will be adjusted within the template. So you can play with that to your heart's content and get things looking exactly the way that you want them to. You can also use custom colors within here, which is a nice thing. So for instance, you might want to grab your hex code from your website or from any other collateral that you're using and adjust accordingly. So maybe the blue you're looking for is more, that color. So once you have figured out your various colors, if you want to adjust font sizes, you can do that here as well. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Restore Defaults. And the next area that's important, I would say, is coming into your header. So the header options, I'll just do that again. Anytime you want to open any of the blocks in your Constant Contact newsletter, you just basically click on the block and it will open. So here's where you create your subject line. So I'm going to call it Super Fantastic Deal of the Day. So, one of the things that I talk about a lot in my presentations that I've learned along the way, and it seems to be common email practice, is make sure that the words that you use in your subject line, that you've thought them through somewhat, that they're exciting, that they encourage a person to open the email, and that you will be sending something that both expresses what's within, but also tempts, teases, tantalizes, and excites. So super fantastic deal of the day. That might not do it for you. Lately, one of the things I've been doing is actually just getting really personal. One of my email lists is my friends and family, and the last time I wrote to everyone, I just said hi from Albert, and I had the highest open rates that I've had ever. So this is an area that seems really simple, and yet I think it's worth doing some reading on what makes great subject lines. Go out and do a search, subject lines, that work, things like that, and think hard about what you put in the subject line, because people usually spend about 2 seconds looking at the first two words of your subject line, and that is how they decide whether or not to spend 2 more seconds with you. So really take a little bit of time with that, and I'm sure it will pay off. And you can experiment too. You can create a subject line that's um, that goes one direction with one list and another direction with another list, and see what the various open rates are, and learn from that. The from name should be something that the people on your list recognize. So I'll put my name. The from email address, again, that's going to show up and should also be hopefully something that people recognize. Here, this is checked by default, probably makes most sense, unless you have somebody answering the emails for you. I recommend just leaving it the way it is, but if you have somebody else who you'd like the email to be responded to, if someone writes back just by hitting return, then you would put in a different email address, and you would do that by verifying that email address. A permission reminder is an opportunity for you to remind people why they're getting your email, and to remind them that they can also unsubscribe below if they'd like to. So that's up to you whether or not you'd like to have that there. A web page version, this is a super important little piece of code. So when you click that, it basically, I'll show you in a moment how that renders, but it basically creates a little web page link here that a person can then click, and then a browser will open and they'll see your newsletter in a browser. This is useful for a couple of reasons. One, in case for some reason they can't see it in their email client and they want to see a bigger version, or this web page link, the URL of that link is the archived version of your newsletter, and can also be used to share the newsletter in social media or via email or however. And also, finally, social share links. This is a share bar that will be attached to the top of your email. And then if a person receives the email, they can click on this and then share your newsletter, like your newsletter on Facebook, and do a variety of things. This opens up a little window once it's clicked on that I think probably has about 500 different ways that you could share a newsletter. So I'm going to click OK. And I think I'm going to take a moment just to see if there's anything special that's popped up in Commentlandia. Okay, someone asked why you only have 9 card options. I think just be a little patient on that one. That's probably on the mobile templates. And I'm sure there's going to be a flood of those coming out. So 9 is plenty to start with, by the way. You just need 1. All right. Okay, so someone just asked, what is a good open rate? And I think the answer to that one is, in the industry, I think people talk about 20% is fantastic and above is golden. I think that really depends, though. If your click-through rate and if people are responding to your emails and taking actions, if you get 5 people who come through and do the thing that you're hoping they did, that's probably fantastic too. But I'll talk more about that in my answers. Back to you. So it's about 40 minutes into the webinar too, and I had wanted to do a little stretching, both myself and for yourself. So let's take a moment and just, get up out of your chair, maybe stretch your arms out a little bit. Actually, you know what I'd like to do? Something very, what's the word? Unconventional. I'm going to share with you an exercise that I do that a friend of mine taught me. So I will bring my webcam back. Let's see. Hopefully that's working. Hopefully you can see me. Somebody please comment and say that you can see me, because at the moment I'm not seeing me. Let's see. All right, well, I'll just trust that you are. Anyway, this is a great stretch if you are sitting in a chair for a long time and you want to kind of give your neck a little bit of exercise. So I take my hands and I put them on the front of my head and I keep my neck straight up and down, and I push really hard just to the point where my neck is vibrating for about 5 seconds, and then I let go slowly for 5 seconds. Then I do the same thing where I put my hands behind my neck, pull forward for about 5 seconds until I'm shaking, and then let go for 5 seconds. So it's like a grab and release. Then I take my right hand and put it up against my ear, and I push the same way for 5 seconds, and then release for 5 seconds. The left hand, 5 seconds. And then the front part of my head, I push for 5 seconds, and then release, and then the left-hand side of my head. All right, so I usually do that about every 15 minutes, and I have a little timer that I've set up that goes off. And I was thinking about having it go off today, but I think that would have been a little bit too interrupting. So back to the webinar. Hope you enjoyed that break. And yeah, if you need to get up and stretch anytime, you're welcome to. So I'm back to creating my email, and by the way, for anyone who came in late, we are basically at the area of being in the email area and creating an email. We've done a little bit of effort on sign up tools and also looked at the contacts area. So, all right. Thanks everybody for your confirmation that you can see me. That's great. Okay. All right, so here we are again with the email that I've chosen. We've just talked about the header area. We've just done that. And then let's say I'm going to come down here. One of the first things that's probably important is just dealing with these various blocks. Here's a picture of a guitar. If I click on that, I'm going to get a little pull down area. Now I'm in this block and the block is active. I can also do things like affect text size or align this, but I'm going to deal with images right off the bat. So I'm going to click on change. And what that does is it opens up the image in a little special window. There's a lot of different things that I can do from this point. I can pick a different image. So let's pick this guitarist instead. I can make this image a clickable link to something. So let's say I'll make it a clickable link to my website. I can create a caption, click on the picture for special report. And for myself, I can just call this guitarist. I generally leave this box blank. So the alignment for the image can be however you want to set it. You can change the dimensions of the image right here, or you can also use the slider bar, which will keep the image constrained and the proportions correct. So let's say I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to insert it back into the email. And now you can see I've got this image with this caption, and those little lines don't show up there. So I can also take this image and let's say I really want to start my email. I really want to start my email with this image. So I'm going to go over here to this little grab box and I'm going to move it up. Any of these blocks can be moved around. So And also, if I click on blocks, let's say I want more of something, I can always add an extra block. You know, if I really love this block, the top bar block, and I really want to have 3 of them for some reason, I can add them via this blocks area over here on the left. All right, so I'm going to click on a different block, and let's just do a few things. Here I can say, okay, Harp Jensen. Actually, I want that to be a link to a website, so I'll highlight the area, click on the link button, and I don't like the way that that's going to look, so I'm going to change the view of it, and here I might put in a website. And so when I insert that back in, now this Harp Jensen link is a link to a website. There's a few other kinds of links that one could have as well. Let's say, you know, contact me. So I'm going to turn contact me into an email link, again, clicking on links. And then up here, instead of having a website, I will choose an email. And here I'll put my email, gmail.com, and I'll go ahead and insert that. So now this little contact me is a link. And a picture can be turned into a link, text can be turned into a link, etc. Other things that you can do from this point are, let's say you want to change the font color, you know, you want to center things, you can fill in the background from here if you want to as well. And another thing that, you know, a lot of people I think have a difficulty both with Constant Contact, but just in general on the web when you're creating websites, in formatting things. So like, let's say I have a picture here and I want the picture to be on the left, but I want the text to be on the right. Constant Contact has just recently added this little feature, which is fantastic, where I can have a table. So let's say I make a 2 by 2 table. I might choose to have the contact me information here over on the left. That's not exactly what I was looking for, but let's just say that was the contact information. That just happened to be what was in my information there a second ago. So let's see, contact me. And over here, I want to have a picture. So I'm going to add a picture. And I'll picture of me with the goat. And then if I go ahead and save that, you can see the beautiful way that this is formatted, that no one can tell that there's a table there. And, you know, it's very easy to come in and, you know, move things around. I could have this be here. I could move, you know, have another picture down here. I could have 4 pictures throughout this area, you know, and really sort of get fancy with it. Here's a little sign. It says, roses are red, so is pork, something, something, bacon. Okay, so anyway, you get the idea there, that the formatting difficulties that a lot of people have can often be dealt with via using tables. And so thank you for the table option. This is a huge improvement. And let's say I decide, okay, I have been messing around with this block and I actually don't really like it. I'll just go ahead and delete it. And so that's a little bit about working with blocks and working with colors and fonts we dealt with. Down here, I've got my little stay in touch area. I would recommend, you know, these days it's probably not a bad idea to have your social links even more prominently than that. So you might have, you might go ahead and add in a link to something social, you know, earlier on in your email. If you wanted to do that, once you're within a block, over here on the left-hand side, you'll see that you have insert, images, and social. So on the insert side, you've got typical things like images, a link to a document, creating an actual link, a video link. I could throw in a YouTube here if I wanted to, and a few more payment options and forward to a friend. Actually, a forward to a friend link is probably not a bad idea. So let's put one of those in there and we'll go ahead and insert it. So, but let's say, you know, I'm also really interested in people getting in touch with me via social media. So I'll go in here to the social area, and let's say my big thing is find me on Yelp. So I would go in here and throw in Albert Ideation, and then maybe I like this one the best. You can also make a series of these. So as you may have noticed, each of these has a icon or a button that's similarly sized. So there's a second one, for instance. So many times what people will do is make a block that's got a number of different social links, and therefore if a person wanted to get in touch with you, you might pick all the same size, and then they could figure out which one of these appeals to them and come and find you. So that's a little bit about the various ways that the Constant Contact email creation part works. I'm going to, right after you've gone through this and you've made it the way you want to, you definitely want to click on preview. And then what I would recommend is you go ahead and send it to yourself. So I'll click on send a test. And what I do with clients a lot of times is I'll send this to them, and I'll put in here a personal note that says, here's a draft, and let me know if there's any changes you want to make. So, and up here you can see how everything has played out. You can see what the thing looks like without images. So that's a great bit of feedback as well. Without images, will a person actually learn anything from receiving your email, or is it all images? And also you want to make sure that you have text in the background for any images that you're not showing. So there we have it. That's what the preview looks like. You get the preview back. Maybe look at it on a couple of different browsers. Looking at it if you use Outlook or any other email clients, you might look at it there as well. You might look at it on your phone or an iPad and see how it comes out. Generally, more and more, the emails are showing up looking just great on phones. But I recommend that you go ahead and try that out. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a taste of where we're going to. I'm going to continue on just into the scheduling area and show you something called Simple Share. And then I think we'll take some time and I will show you some Facebook tips and tricks and LinkedIn tips and tricks. So I hope you'll stick around for the continuation of the webinar. I'm having a good time. It's quite a lot of you out there. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Let me just see if anyone said anything important. Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So Greg from Phoenix mentioned that he loves the table function. Greg's actually one of my new clients and friends, and works at a place called the Urban Farm that he started down in Phoenix. If you get a chance, check out the Urban Farm. His newsletter is also fantastic. I'm learning a lot just from watching what he's doing. And Emily's asking about the social buttons, but I don't really see the whole question. So I'm just going to move on to, here we are. We've got the email set up, and it's time to schedule it. So let's continue on. This brings us up into the scheduling area. Here you can see a thumbnail of what your email looks like. You can see the subject line again. Here we can pick the lists that we're going to be sending to. I'm going to send it to my family, and I want to make sure that these things are correct. All that looks good. Now, before I go ahead and schedule the email, right down here is one of the more powerful features of Constant Contact, really. It's called Simple Share. If I click on Simple Share, what this does is it allows me to add different social media to my outreach for my newsletter. So I need to do this. Let's see here. So I'm going to pick a couple of my fan pages, and then I'm going to wait. And now you can see I've just added a second ago 2 of my fan pages, Ideation and Email Marketing Guru. I've decided once I send this email, I want to also post out to these 2 fan pages that the newsletter has come out with a link to it. There can also be, as you can see from the adding area, Twitter accounts and LinkedIn accounts can also be added here. So for me, I've got about 30 fan pages that are either mine or that I manage for clients. And so when I do the social share, it actually takes me about 10 minutes to click through and create sort of individualized commentary for each one. So for instance, I'll just do this one. I'm going to come into my Alberta Ideation fan page, and it's going to say super fantastic deal of the day. Down here, I might say, um, you know, make sure to get yours. And here I might pick an image. This image can be, for some reason, it's not wanting to do that. Okay. Let's see. But right here, instead of using thumbnail, I can add an image from the email that's being sent out or pick something completely different. And right now, that doesn't seem to be rendering, but generally that renders just fine. And so if I click on Save and Close, when I send this email out, this will be posted further to my fan pages. As you can see here, it says 2 pending messages. And so once I go on in this little wizard and click on schedule, once the email goes out to the world, then it will also be reposted on those fan pages, Twitter accounts, and LinkedIn pages. So I'm going to go ahead and say send later. I can pick a date in the future. You know, let's say I'm going to be in Hawaii on Wednesday. I can figure, okay, that's the day I want it to go out, and I want it to go out at 6 o'clock. 6:05 Eastern Time. I can archive the email afterwards, and I can also click on including Google Analytics if I want to, and call this, you know, whatever I'd like to call it. And so then later on, I can learn, okay, that's the, you know, let's see, what am I missing? Please send a time. Okay. So later on, I can go back through and look at the Google Analytics and see how the webinar email did. So I've gone ahead and clicked on schedule, and now Constant Contact is telling me my email is scheduled for when, and I can just click on I'm done, or if I want to, I can come back in here and, you know, do a little bit more sharing on social, or perhaps I want to go in and unschedule it and do some more reviewing. So that's it. Well, we've spent an hour on Constant Contact, and I hope that that's been really useful to you. I just want to reiterate something about that if you are interested today in signing up for Constant Contact and you use my affiliate link, I can get you a free match with your website and an email template, and that usually costs about $100, and that would just be free included in your account. So the benefit of that is that your email will then go out looking spiffy, a lot like your newsletter. I'm sorry, a lot like your website. And I think it's just a fantastic thing. Like if you look at the Urban Farms newsletter and you look at their website, there is a synchronicity there that's just really beautiful. That's the same thing that I've been trying to do with another friend's work, the Alberta Rose Theatre. Their newsletter, you know, has a lot to do with their website. And then when people see either one, they're reminded of the other. So I think that's been helping them out. So that's an offer that I am making for you. And I think, let's see, is there anything more I'd like to say about Constant Contact? Well, I'll just also mention that there are a couple other products within Constant Contact that are useful. The Social Campaigns product is the ability to basically create a campaign on your fan page that allows people to come in and do a contest, you know, receive a, okay, I see what's happening here. Give me a second. So let's see here. So right here is I'm using the Social Campaigns product, and basically I'm making an offer, the website match offer of all things. And so when this person comes in and likes my fan page, they come to a page, to a different page that's the sort of follow-up page for having liked my page via this process. And that's also a way to bring people to your that's a way to gather people's email addresses who are interested in your business. It's also a way to run a sweepstakes, to provide downloadable content or some kind of coupon. So and then you can also sign up for a trial of that if that interests you, via the same link that I shared before, and give that a try. There are a couple more great products. EventSpot. Everybody that's on this webinar today, you actually had to use my registration process using EventSpot to bring you here. And so the landing page that you went to and the area that you signed in with your contact information was all gathered, and well, it was created on my end, and then you ended up filling out your information via that. And it's a great way to organize events. In fact, I'm just getting more and more enamored with the bells and whistles that are on that, and also just the simplicity. So also the emails that I sent to you to remind you to register for the webinar via GoToWebinar came via my ability to respond to all of the participants who signed up for the webinar. So that's definitely something to check out as well. And if event marketing is your thing, then go ahead and try signing up for a trial of EventSpot. There's a couple more products. I'm not going to talk about those right now, but definitely worth learning about. So I wanted to spend some time on some tips and tricks on Facebook. So here we are in Facebook. Actually, first, I think even more interesting is something that I just think is fascinating. Well, okay, I am going to switch. Sometimes my mind goes to places, and I think it's important to follow it. So here I am in LinkedIn. I'm going to start with LinkedIn. Now, hopefully this is one of the things that you come away with today that can be valuable. In LinkedIn, it's pretty much the last social network, or the only social network that I know of right now where you actually have access to the email information for the people who you are connected with, though they have not made that all that easy to find. So I'm going to show you where that is, and I'm not suggesting that you do anything particular with that information, but I do think it's worth downloading, because it's a great thing to be able to contact people, and LinkedIn allows you to download all of the contact information for your however many contacts. So I'm going to show you where that lives. All right, so under network, if you click on contacts, you come to a screen that has a little gear over here on the right. So if I click on that gear, it says settings. I'm going to click on that. And then that brings you to a little box here called Export LinkedIn Connections. And that's all. One of the things that I am a big fan of is sort of figuring out how to bring the various people who you have in your life into the various places that you want to invite them into, almost like you're throwing a party and you want to make sure everybody gets an invitation to it. So LinkedIn makes it really easy to download your LinkedIn connections. I can imagine you might be able to think of things to do with those. One thing that I've done is it's great. I have people's email addresses. I know what industry they're in, and I can just write to them directly and not necessarily use LinkedIn's messaging system, which is a little bit clunky. Or I can find, the 10 people who I want to write to about a particular topic. Like, I know these folks are interested in email marketing, so I'm going to email them and say, hey, I'm doing a webinar today. So that's just something that's interesting to know. Also, from here, you can also do things like bring in your Gmail contacts into LinkedIn. And the way I don't really see very many people writing about this, but it's interesting to me that you have various buckets of people in various places. You have your Facebook friends, and you have your Facebook fans, and you have your LinkedIn contacts, and you have your email contacts. So what's the relationship between those? And this is something I talk a lot more about in my classes. How to bring various groups of people into various places. What's okay to do? It's not okay to take these contacts and upload them into Constant Contact. If you emailed out to 4,000 people who you'd gotten the connections from via LinkedIn, you would have so many spam reports that Constant Contact would come back and say, sorry, that's you can't do that. And I mean, they wouldn't know what you did, but that is not recommended. That's not where I'm going here. All right, so all right, I have there's many questions here, and like I said, I will definitely get back to them in writing very soon. So I'm going to go switch over to Facebook now. Maybe just if anyone missed that, I'll do that one more time because it's a little bit of a magic trick to find this. But basically under Network, Contacts, and then you'll see this little gear item, and then you can go to download your LinkedIn contacts. All right, so here are a couple of fun things that you may or may not know about Facebook. So I am going to take a link. I'm going to take my website link. Let's say recently I wrote an article called Your Constant Contact Rep. And I'm glad if anyone wants to read that. It's on my blog, albertideation.com. So I'm going to grab that link and I'm going to go to my fan page. And I'm going to put the link into my status update. Okay, so we're all familiar with doing that. Now, what you may not know is once you have put information into the status bar, you can then remove it. This does a number of different things. This frees up your status bar to say something about the link that you've shared, but it also doesn't clutter up everybody's newsfeed with the URL of the item that you're sharing, which I think is both great Facebook netiquette as well as, just kind of a kindness, or maybe those are the same thing. So now I'm going to say some information about this. I'd love to work with you and help you get the most out of, and for many of you this will be typical. Making a link in something is you put the ampersand, the @ sign, and then you start typing, and anything that you have ever touched in Facebook can become a link within your posting on Facebook. Anything that you have ever, any event that you've ever gone to, any person you've ever friended, any fan page that you have connected with, any group, all those names can be used. Now, when you're posting on a fan page, you can't put personal names in generally, but when you're posting as your personal profile, all of those other things can become links. So I'd love to work with you and help you get the most out of Constant Contact. Please read up below to find out more. So now I've added a little bit of information here. I can also come in, and if there are more than one picture, I can choose a different picture. I happen to know that this is probably going to render nicely when it's actually posted. It may or may not, but I can just leave my picture if I want to. I can also upload a picture if I want to choose something different. But I can also edit these two areas. So let's say I want to, let's talk, why not let's talk today? I could change this completely. I could talk about, the East Coast being pummeled with snow if I wanted to. If I don't like the content here, I can also edit that as well. I'm going to just change this. I'm going to edit it right here. I offer my services to you. And okay. So now there's a couple more things that one can do. I can also click here and figure out when I want to post this. I've decided actually, I think it's 11:11. Never mind, I'm going to go ahead and post it. Oh boy, that's 11:11 for those of you who don't know is a big moment for me, and it is 11:11. So let's take a moment and just let me breathe. Have a little sip of coffee. Yeah, if you don't get my newsletter, it's called The 11. And I was born on the 11th, and I have a number of other reasons why I love 11:11. And the numbers 1111 for many people also are a portal towards something greater in life. And so many people make a wish. A lot of people tend to notice on their digital watches or their clocks the time of 1111. And it's really been a big part of my last couple of years. I have a bunch of friends that have a camp at Burning Man called 1111, and they've created this giant steel sculpture out of the number. Well, it's 1112, so we'll get back to it. But yeah, if you're not a part of my newsletter, the 11, I would love for you to join up, and you can keep track of the more esoteric side of my life, which I think is kind of interesting. Anyway, back to scheduling a post. It's not 11:11 anymore, so we can move on. So let's say I want to send it at 1:11. So 1 o'clock p.m. PST. Great. I'm going to go ahead and click schedule. If I want to, I can also say where I was. I'm in Portland. But I can actually use this for a little bit more promotion if I want to. So I'm actually here at my house, Email Marketing Guru, and I'm going to go ahead and click schedule that. So that will get posted at 1:11. And now another little piece of information that you may or may not know is here I am on my main fan page, which is called Albert Ideation. If you haven't liked my page, I would love for you to come in and like it. Basically, it's facebook.com Albert Ideation. And, for those of you who work with fan pages, one place that you can find quite a lot of good content is coming in here to most recent, seeing who is posting interesting things, and finding some interesting content to reshare. So let's say I happen to be interested in solar energy industry. I'm going to go ahead and click on share, and I'm going to say something about it. And a lot of times you can also come in here and edit the information as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click share photo. So the interesting thing there is that a lot of times people are stuck. We're sitting at our homepage of our fan page and we're thinking, oh my God, what am I going to say? Once again, I have come to a place where I have to figure out what to say. So instead, you can also find interesting content in the news feed of your fan page. Now, the way to fill up your news feed for your fan page is to go out and find, let's see, how about I'll go to Wileyware. So this is a friend of mine has some beautiful glassware that she makes. It's called Wileyware. And in fact, I think this could be a moment to, we'll just leave it with the fan page. Anyway, so I've already liked the fan page Wileyware, but once I have gone out and maybe I've liked a couple of the things that she is into, so Rogers Global Photography and Bullseye Glass, then the items from those fan pages will then end up showing up on my fan page as well in time when those people post. So that's a little bit about how that works. I wanted to show you also something interesting about Facebook. I'm going to go to my personal profile, and then I'm going to click on the Facebook icon on the top left. Now here I am looking at the newsfeed view. Most of you probably know that Facebook tends to show you top stories. It just makes sense to me to keep going in and changing it to most recent. But one of the things I wanted to show you is that on the left-hand side here, you have your fan pages listed. I've got a couple of them up in my favorites area. You can move these around. If Wileyware is going to be one of my favorites, I can click on it and move it up into this area. And I can move some of these down if I wanted to. So if I click on a fan page from my personal profile, then if I look at build audience, you'll notice that I get the opportunity to invite friends. If I travel to my fan page via the gear on the top right and I click on build audience, notice that inviting my friends is no longer an option. So one of the easiest ways to get, to build your numbers of your fan page and to also bring the people who, are probably most interested in working with you or knowing, who you are and what you're about, is to ask your friends to join. So here I am. I've gone the way that I showed you the first time, build audience, and I'm going to click on invite friends. And here I am looking at all of my friends, and most of the people in here, have already liked my fan page. And if there's anyone less that hasn't of all of my friends, I'm going to go ahead and click on invite them. And this is going to, for some of you, this might be a little bit time consuming. This might take a few minutes because maybe you have 500 friends or 1,000 friends. But, your friends are probably some of the people who are most likely to want to like your fan page. So that is something to know about. Another thing that I think is really key is knowing about this little guy. There's a little I here. It's called invite all. Now, Facebook has done its very best to figure out how to not make it possible to invite people to things en masse, but actually, there are still many ways to do this. I highly recommend learning which, depending on which browser you have, you'll have an opportunity to either add an extension or a plugin. They have different names. Now, the only way right now that I know of to invite people to all of something is to invite them to an event. So I'm going to go out to an event, and surprise, surprise, I'm going to go to the event that's happening right now. And I have a feeling, sadly, some people are probably going to be like, oh, can't get there. Okay, so here's my event that is happening right at the moment. And if I click invite friends to this event, you will see that I have invited many people already. And you'll see this little select all button at the bottom. And the way that this particular one works, it's with the Chrome browser. And now I'm not going to actually go through this because the webinar is just about over. But I scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list of friends. Now I have 2,600 friends, so it takes a little while. And then I would click select all, and you could watch Facebook work its way down through the whole list. Actually, I don't know if it's Facebook or if it's the code for this little plugin. But anyway, it's a very, very important thing to know about, that this is possible, because let's say, one way to tell people about your fan page would be to create an event and to say, my event is like my fan page. My event is like my movie on this contest. My event is, sign this petition. An event does not have to be um, a party or something like that. It doesn't have to be an actual physically located thing. It could be asking people to do an action. So I think that's important to know about the invite friends piece, and that's something that I wanted to show you. Another thing that I think is important, so let's say we are in our fan page once again, and under the build audience area, there's an opportunity to invite email contacts. So from here, let me slow down there. I have a feeling that that might have been a little too quick. What I wanted to show you is there is a possibility to invite email contacts to like your fan page. And that works right here under build audience, invite email contacts. And then from here, you have a lot of different choices of how you're going to do this. It says maximum of 5,000 contacts supported. And to be honest, my experience has been when I've added more than a couple of hundred at a time this way, the Facebook tends to come back and give you a little wrist slap and says, you've done something that is not, okay, or you're using the system too fast or something. Don't be frustrated by this. And I do recommend trying it. So, even Constant Contact is here. So if you click on one of these invite contacts, it'll teach you how to do the export from Constant Contact and how to upload the contacts back into Facebook. So I'm going to use the upload contact list file. This is just sort of a generic, all address book type uh, format to do this process. I'm going to click on choose file, and then let's say I go out and look for email addresses, and I'm go ahead and click OK, and it says you can't use this type of file. It's basically looking for a .csv file. So whatever, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet file, you'll want to do that, convert it into a .csv file. A .csv file means a comma separated value file, and it's just one of the formats in Excel. And you can also use a text file. You could do this one at a time if you wanted to. I cannot imagine that would probably drive me crazy. But anyway, there's lots of different ways to do this. So we're coming down to the mark here. Let me just see if there's anything that I can answer right off the bat. Somebody's asking why I use Chrome versus Safari. I just happen to be using Chrome today. I don't have a preference. I want my last question answered. Okay, Emily, let's see. You will get it answered. Everybody whose questions got asked today, I promise that I will do my best to come in and let's see what, yeah, I cannot unfortunately see all the questions easily right now. There are quite a bunch of them, but I will get back to you in a very timely manner with answers to all your questions as best as I can. I wanted to take a moment just to reiterate that, actually, you know what, why not show you me for a moment? Albert. Yeah, so it's been great spending time with you today. I want to encourage everybody to take what you've learned. I want to encourage you to take what you've learned today and to put it into practice as soon as possible, because as we all know, when we learn something, if we don't use it, we lose it. So do take some time today to try out anything that we've talked about. If you get a chance to sign up for a trial of Constant Contact, take it through its paces, try out some of the features that I talked about, see what you can learn on your own. The sooner that you can take advantage of some of the things we talked about, the better for you. If you come back to it in a week or a month, you'll probably be at somewhat of the starting gate. So the sooner you can put what we've learned into practice, the better it will be for you. Like I said, I am a trainer in Portland. I work with Constant Contact, and I also work with social media and really try to help small businesses get the most out of their time and energy and effort with these tools. We're in a time right now where we have a huge new advantage over larger companies. We have both word of mouth, we have social media, which is a word of mouth tool. We have email marketing, and time has really never been better to use these tools to reach out to whoever we want to and spread, whether it's good information or information about our businesses and what we're about. The time has really never been better to do marketing very inexpensively and very effectively. So I hope you'll keep in touch with me. Uh, I wanted to show you one more slide. Let's see if we can get that going. And like I said, I will send out information to everyone from today's webinar about the answers to questions, and hopefully also the recording from today's webinar. And let's see if I have any last words. Please do take advantage of the website match. That is a great offer. And do keep in touch. Like I said earlier in the webinar, we teach classes in the area on a pretty regular basis, a number of different locations. And being at an in-person event, Constant Contact event, is fantastic. I've just been having a lot of fun both delivering them and meeting folks who are coming out for them. So I hope that we will get a chance to hang out together in person soon. And yeah, let's see. Any last thoughts I have? Okay, a lot of folks are asking questions here, so that's great. feel free to go ahead and ask your questions. And let's see, I've got a few minutes left, so to really fill out the time, let me see if there's one more tip or trick I can bring into the fore. So I will say one last thing that I think is important about Facebook. Actually, I think this is the most important tip or trick of all, and that is having a list of close friends. So right here, I have something called a list of close friends. It's something I built myself. And basically, to build a list, you come down here to the friends area, you click on more, the word more, and you click on create a list. Now, as you can see right here, there's a little list that Facebook makes for you that it calls close friends, but it designs the list for you, and it can be a fantastic thing or not. And really what you want to do is create your own list. So my list could be business connections. And now I'm going to add people to that. So I'm going to add my friend Spencer. And now I'll create this list. And now anytime Spencer adds something to Facebook, you will see that. So let's add someone else here. I'll just add a typical Michael. Do we have a Michael? So I will add my friend Michelle, and I will add my friend Marcia. And you can also add fan pages here. So now, when I look at this list again, and I look at the stream of it, you can see that things from the people who I have on this list and the fan pages that I have on this list are suddenly showing up. So this is a great way to look at Facebook. So for instance, if I look at my typical news feed, now I've got 2,600 friends. So this little stream just cruises through here. It is very much a stream. But if I look at my list of close friends list, I can see my friends and just what they're posting, everything that they're posting. So nothing is hidden. If I want to look at a particular fan page in here, then I would see everything that that fan page posted. As far as I know, it's really the only way to look at Facebook so that you are seeing what you want to see. It's a way to customize what it is that you're looking for. So I think that is about wrapping it up. Again, I want to thank you for spending these last hour and a half with me. It's been a pleasure. I generally laugh a lot more when I'm presenting, and it's since I've pretty much just been with you. It hasn't had that same kind of feel as when I get up in front of a group, but I hope it's been great for you. I would love to hear your feedback.